All right, it is 4 p.m. This is a special meeting of the Budget and Audit Committee on Tuesday, September 10th. I will call the meeting to order by visual with roll call. Both the council members are here. We can move directly into item number 2, which is the presentation from UBS on advisory investment management. Would you like to kick us off? Or
sure. So this is a follow-up from last month's Budget and Audit Committee meeting. James originally met with us, and I believe the Budget and Audit Committee had some further questions before we were comfortable moving this to a full council meeting. So James is back here to follow up with the questions, kind of give us an overview again, so we can get everybody up on the same page and follow up with some questions and answers. And if you guys are comfortable, then we can move this forward in the process. If not, we will come up with a list of questions and come back one more time.
Okay.
And we're okay with that.
That's okay.
James and I talked about that this afternoon.
Yes, that's fine. Thank you guys for having me again. Maybe what I'll do is give a really brief summary of what we had already talked about. And then I think it'd be really helpful just to get some clarity if there's any kind of open questions. You guys had actually talked to us probably a few months ago at this point about using UBS as an investment advisor or portfolio manager to manage the investment portfolio on the behalf of the city. So right now, the way the relationship is set up, we don't have any discretion on the portfolio, and the finance manager or city manager would be responsible for ultimately making investment decisions for the portfolio. That's something that cities, institutions, municipalities, counties can hand off to a portfolio manager, where our fixed income portfolio management team would manage the portfolio on what's called an advisory relationship or a fiduciary relationship, where we're managing the investments on your behalf. Obviously, you guys would be part of guiding the direction of the portfolio, but the day-to-day portfolio management would be done by our portfolio management team here at UBS. So it's a common way of having a portfolio managed. Obviously, an investment policy is ultimately what drives the decision-making for the portfolio. It's not like UBS can just kind of willy-nilly decide to invest in what we want. We have strict guidelines based on the investment policy, which would kind of dictate how the portfolio would be managed. It wouldn't be a huge change in kind of what you guys would own. It would still be very high quality, fixed income, safe investments, liquid investments. But ultimately, a lot of the day-to-day of the portfolio management would be able to be kind of handed off from the city's table to our table. We would continue to obviously provide you guys with ongoing reporting, performance metrics, any kind of follow-up. Generally, it would involve about kind of a monthly meeting with the direct city team, and then maybe a quarterly or semi-annual meeting with a larger group like this. And then generally we would meet one time with kind of the large city council. So I'll pause there. I know we've kind of talked about this a bit, so I just wanted to give a quick kind of intro, but are there any specific questions that I could either try to add some clarity to right now, or potentially maybe come back with specific answers if we need to do that?
I know you've got a few, so why don't you go, and then I just have a couple of.
Sure.
Okay.
All right, cool. Historically, do you have insight into the average time between something maturing and then those funds being redeployed because the city is initiating a new purchase? Because I think in our current environment, the city has to contact you or UBS to execute that trade. You're not doing that automatically, right? So there's got to be some cycle time. Historically, do you know what that has been?
Well, I would say that we really try to stay ahead of maturity. So let's just say, for example, something matures in 2 days. We would likely be sending an email or giving a call to the city, letting whoever the representative know something's maturing. Let's talk about reinvestment options. Now, like any company or institution we work with, people are busy, emails get pushed aside. So it's generally, I'd say money doesn't sit too idle, but there are times where maybe a day or two goes by, an email gets missed, then a follow-up email would come back, or we'd have a phone call. And then sometimes what we were looking at to invest in 2 days ago isn't available today. So, that may create some more delay. So I mean, historically, we're not talking weeks or months.
Yeah, and I guess my question is more, I understand that those things could happen and that's fairly normal, so no big deal there. But I guess one of the benefits that I think from a more managed portfolio is that cycle time gets reduced because you don't have to wait on us. So I guess
100%.
to support that premise, I'm more looking for like what the actual time was over the last some look back period. So we only have maybe 1 to 2 maturities a month, right, on average. And so if we go back 2 years, that's 24-ish at most maturities. Is there a way that you could say like your average cycle time is 4 days or something, or 3 days?
Yeah, I would say it's probably closer to 2 or 3 days, but I guess if you multiply 2 or 3 days times 24 maturities, that's certainly.
But I guess what I'm asking you is, when you come to us, can you have the actual data available?
We could go back and do some analysis on that.
Yeah, I mean, because I think that would help buttress the idea that if we had a managed portfolio, I would expect our average cycle time to be 0 days.
Oh, you're talking about efficiency.
Yes.
More efficiency.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
But I mean, conceptually, I think it's very clear that this could happen just by the nature of how we've configured it. But it would be more valuable to know over the last 2 years, you've had an average cycle time of X days, right? That would be more helpful. So I'm assuming you don't have that off the top of your head.
I don't have it right now, but I think the other thing maybe I could provide you with would be like an average cash balance.
Sure, that's also helpful.
That might be helpful just to see, okay, at different times we had $300,000 sitting, kind of essentially idle for 3 days or 4 days. So I mean, I could give you an idea of that, because
I think both would be helpful. The average cash balance would be harder to understand from a layman's perspective, I believe, because what will happen is 2 days, let's say you have even 20 days at $200,000 over the course of a year, your average cash balance, I mean, is going to be like $20,000 or less.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so what's going to happen if you'll say, well, it's only $20,000, but instead of doing that, it would be more insight. I think it provides more insight to say like the time between something maturing and executing a new trade, so you have idle cash, is on average X days over 25 maturities. That is a lot more graspable.
Yeah,
I think so. That's where I was going with that.
I think I got a good idea of kind of what you're looking for. We could certainly get back some info for you on that.
Okay. All my questions are along these lines, by the way. So it's really just an idea of clarification.
Yeah.
So, I'm thinking about, are there any actual transactions that have occurred or that did occur or would have occurred if our relationship was one of a managed portfolio versus what we have now? Is that something that you're aware of?
That'd be, so you're saying it's something maybe we would have purchased if we were managed versus, if not?
Correct.
Well, I mean, I think that there's probably 2 kind of avenues to that. One avenue would be, there's been some investments that we kind of wanted or we suggested to purchase that ultimately, were sold out or not available anymore. I'd have to get a feel for exactly, how much of that, it would be. But also I think that there's a reality that if our portfolio management team has an investment they would like to do, the reality of going and checking with somebody would be almost impossible, So there's going to be something that they may like to invest in, and they may have to do it within minutes. So in some ways, that's something that would never quite get to us on a just brokerage relationship. That'd be
Yeah.
hard to kind of articulate, but it certainly is the case, right? That having a
Yeah.
portfolio manager kind of attentive to your portfolio on a day-to-day basis adds value.
That makes sense. I think that would be a good concept to highlight, because I mean, the end of the road of this is a presentation to the full council where we collectively decide if we want to move forward. So I would say that's also something that would be beneficial to highlight in
Okay.
just that concept. And then you mentioned the investment policy. We recently updated our investment policy, and I'm assuming that you've seen it, but you may not be familiar with the details right now. Is there anything that you're aware of in our current policy that, as a result of a managed portfolio, would need to be updated because it doesn't cover the necessary guidance that you need?
Well, I would probably want to talk about the possibility of opening up some of the kind of investments we could look at to a broader range of investments. Right now, the portfolio, the policy is limited to CDs and treasuries pretty much. I'd say that there'd be no reason we wouldn't want to open that up to also government agency bonds, potentially even high quality investment grade corporate bonds, high quality municipal bonds. Those would be the things that we could talk about potentially adding to add a bit more value to the portfolio. But those would be the things we'd want to discuss kind of as a team to decide what investments would make sense. And we could offer some perspective on, all of that. There's not probably a right or a wrong to that, but I think in some ways expanding the permissible investments in the portfolio could make sense. We certainly have other municipalities and counties that have a bit of a broader investment landscape.
Okay. Yeah, the way that you're describing that appears more to be a preference rather than a requirement to change the policy. Like we have the option to go forward with the policy as is, if
Yeah.
even okay. So
Yeah.
clarify that.
We wouldn't have to change it. Yeah. No.
Okay. And then will you prepare a pro forma of what the fee structure we would expect to see based on our past history? Like I think it was what did we say, 15 basis points, or is it something different? I don't recall.
It might have been 20 and it was around 24,000.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, should have pulled this up, but let me just make sure I'm right here.
Okay. Because I know that it's somewhat apples to oranges, the investment fee basis points versus the transaction costs of the trades, but those are not the same things. But because if we move to a managed portfolio, I think we would set aside or eliminate all of those other transaction fees, and we would instead incur the investment fee. I think the investment fee is fairly predictable, but I think it would help the presentation to show over X amount of time you've paid Y in transaction fees. You will no longer pay those, but you will likely pay, in this range of investment fees based on the volume and these basis points on this deal. And that way, if it's 24,000, which I think that sounds right.
Yeah, it was 24.
Yeah.
It was 24.
20 points.
Yeah, it'll be 24,000, but net, it's actually a little bit less, I think, because you offset by the transaction fees that we would normally incur.
Right.
So I think it would be helpful to present that as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so it'd be 20 basis points is the advisory fee. So based on what the portfolio size is, the fee would be 20 basis points. Up to this point, we've invested in CDs and treasuries, and at one point there were some corporates. All of those, like you said, it can be a bit tough to compare because the cost is not really a fee that you guys are paying directly. The fee kind of sits in a bid and ask in terms of the bond market. Now, just because I know we had talked about this, I was curious, because we were doing a little research to see, I can't really go and say, oh, there was this cost to this trade, minus this cost. But on average, there was a pretty big study by MSRB, which is the Municipal Securities Rules Making Board. They did almost a 9-month study for a bunch of different fixed income trades, and their estimate was kind of the retail cost, which would be kind of brokerage trading cost versus kind of an advisory portfolio management program, could be up to 55 basis points, 0.55.
But
So
that would be with the mix of investments that run the gamut. That's not,
yeah,
then certain of those investments would carry a higher VIPs than others, right?
for sure.
So
I mean, it'd be hard. I think that using kind of an estimate would probably be the only way that we could, because even for CDs, I mean, CDs in some ways, there's no cost to a CD when we purchase it, so if we purchase a CD with XYZ Bank and the yield is 4%, you guys are getting 4%, and there was no underlying fee to that because we got paid by the bank who issued the CD to essentially bring them deposits. So it's really not a cost that you guys would have incurred, or in some ways could have saved, if that makes sense.
yeah, it's not, you can't capture that.
Yeah, it's not something that would have been recouped back to you. So, from that standpoint, it would come down to the treasuries, and, there's probably like an estimated cost built into buying treasuries at a retail level, like,
Yeah, I think that would be
100,000,
helpful.
200,000.
I think that'd be helpful as well. I mean, all of
Okay.
those things kind of all point in the same direction. So I want to help you out in how you would present, because it is, it's not like we're looking to incur or to like gain a huge yield. So all of
Sure.
this is at the margin. So I think all of these things combined somewhat tell a story. And so that's why
Okay.
I'm trying to help you in your ultimate presentation in what you're going to present.
Yeah, sweeten the pot.
Yeah.
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 Okay, that's all my.
And so if we go before the council, I just want to make sure I follow you, that you want it to be more palatable, and so there's some data behind why we're deciding to do this. Even though there's a cost involved, which could be around 24,000 a year, but that the benefit outweighs the cost.
Right.
And my questions, James, are just around a procedure. So I just want to go back. You would remain our portfolio advisor, correct? We're not going to be, because if we switch tactics, we're not going to start working with somebody new.
It's not a ploy to get rid of us.
You're not getting rid of me, actually. No, but so I'd still be the advisor on the account. When we do this type of strategy, we have a trading team that kind of works for me and my team, that they're going to be really the ones kind of day to day doing a lot of the mechanics, but I'm still the point person and the advisor. So for all our client relationships that my team works with, I still maintain kind of the relationship, and then we have a team of portfolio managers that kind of help me day to day. But in terms of stuff like this and meetings like this, it'll still be me.
Okay, terrific. And my other and last question, really, because I think Jeff covered it all nicely, is the procedure again. So we have a new city manager, starting on Tuesday. Monday rather, yeah. Tuesday is our first council meeting with him. Starting on Monday, Regina is our assistant city manager, who I imagine is going to be our point person for this. Right. And so is there still going to be that, are you going to have, as things mature, which they do several times a month, sometimes more than that, you're going to be reaching out to her this kind of the same way or in a different way, And is that directive coming from you or this team, trading team? Because we ultimately, are we still, no,
No.
you don't need us then after that,
Well,
like if we,
well,
yeah. I
I
wanna be
think,
clear on that.
Yes.
Is
oh
there
yeah.
still an opportunity for us to say, oh, heck no, no municipal bonds, don't, I'm just
Yeah.
making. Yeah.
So the way it's a great question. So the way it's set up is we have discretion on the portfolio decision. So we can make transactions without having to kind of essentially get approval. So right now the account is what's called non-discretionary. We can't do anything without your approval. You ultimately make the decisions. There's an investment policy which would dictate what we can do. So for example, if the investment policy says we don't want to buy anything further than 5 years, well, then we can't buy anything that's longer than 5 years. If you say we don't want municipals, we can't buy municipals. I think what would change in terms of kind of our operating procedure would be more like a monthly call with Regina and her team to say, hey, here's what we did this month. Here's what's coming up next month. How do things look on your end? Do you need some liquidity? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. This is what we're thinking about doing. So it'd be almost more of like a monthly, here's what happened. Talk to me about what you need moving forward. And so we would obviously, go off of what direction you're telling us. So for example, if you said, hey, we have a maturity in 6 days, we need those funds back. We're not just going to reinvest it.
Okay,
It would look like that.
yeah, that's exactly, because it wouldn't want to be like, okay, we don't talk to you for 3 or 6 months, and then, yeah. And we might need some liquidity. And then the very last thing is as Jeff mentioned, that's number one. We did update the investment policy recently, earlier this year. And do you have a copy of that? I just want to make sure that you
Yep.
do have the new version. Okay.
We have the updated policy, and we would do a pretty good review too, and potentially maybe see is there anything that we should talk about changing or updating. But as of right now, I think the policy, I took a quick look before. I mean, we could move forward without making any changes. So everything looks good as is. It would probably just be moving forward discussions. Does it make sense to potentially, add some things to what you can do? But yeah, we have the updated policy.
Okay. So it sounds like a
Yeah.
win-win.
And I would expect that we would, rather than have more of these calls because you will no longer need us, you would
Right.
work through Regina and staff. But I would say that part of our ask would be like some kind of more regular report out that doesn't require a conversation. It's just what do you call it?
Like a quarterly dashboard?
Yeah, just reports or artifacts that we could use to show like, hey, this is what's happening. And I'm sure you have these already, so.
Yeah, I mean, obviously monthly statements you guys get all the time. We would, if we did this advisory relationship, we automatically send out a quarterly performance report. So you'd be able to see how's the portfolio doing, how are we doing against our benchmark? And I mean, for clients like this, I mean, like I said, it's usually monthly calls with the direct team. And if you guys wanted to do a quarterly or semi-annual call, just like an update, that'd be pretty normal. So that would just depend on what you guys want. We're happy to do whatever, but we don't need to do more than what you want either.
Yeah, I think the quarterly collateral is probably sufficient, but we'll take a look and see.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also what our community was asking for. They know that there's a lot of money sitting in reserves and they want to know how we're investing it. And, before we ever ask them for more money, at some point in the game, they have asked for those reports. So
Yeah.
I think the quarterly performance report is ideal.
Yeah, so if you bring,
I was just going to say,
if you bring those forward, those items forward that we talked about, and then we come to a future council meeting, I think we're good to go.
Okay.
Go ahead, James, what were you going to say?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, like, in a lot of ways, if we're kind of going to be fiduciaries for this money, we're fully aware that ultimately you guys are fiduciaries for this money as well. So it's really a partnership, because it's not like this is a high net worth family where they're kind of deciding what to do with the family's money. You guys are fiduciaries for this money, just like we're fiduciaries for this money. So.
Okay.
Excellent.
And then any questions? Public comment, questions? No?
So make sure that I have the path forward. James and I are gonna work together. He's gonna create the presentation and we're okay to bring it to the
Yeah.
October council meeting?
I will likely not be here on the October 1st council meeting.
So October 17 council
Yes.
meeting?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent.
James, can you please mark your calendar for October 17?
So actually, October 17th is not going to work for me.
Okay. 15, how about 15? Sorry. On the 15th?
Oh, 15?
Yes.
And it could be remote too, so.
Yeah.
It's in New Jersey. I hope it's New Jersey.
I can make a trip. How's the weather?
Sometimes you have to clarify. You never know.
Yes. Regina, can we just go offline and I think I look good, but I want to confirm with so it's October 15th.
Correct.
We'll put you at the top of the.
Yeah, I'll be back to you.
Yeah.
Thank
Just
you.
to-
And if you are able, we'll make sure you're at the beginning of the meeting, so you don't have to.
That's what I said.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't have to
Yes.
do the rest.
Thank you,
I
James.
appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah,
10 o'clock.
okay.
Excellent.
So,
Right, thank you.
okay, so item number 3 then, are we going to have any discussion about the library refresh?
I was just gonna share an update since we met with the working group.
Okay,
So
great.
on September 4th, staff met with the working group and the Library Community Foundation. We discussed the library's proposal that was presented to the Budget and Audit Committee on August 12th. We went through, we did check out some items. We also received clarification from the Library Foundation on what the grant funds can be spent on. From initial looks, it looks about $73,000 of that grant funding is available to us to use to buy furnishings.
Mhm.
It is very specific in what they can buy. We're hoping that because they have the tranche of money set aside, that they can also potentially find other ways to help support with their own personal funding. So we're waiting to hear back from the Library Foundation on what they're able to do.
Okay.
During that meeting, we discovered that if we tried to do it, the city would need to have at least $370,000 available to participate. We mentioned some fundraising.
Can you clarify?
Perfect, is
So
this for
300
phase
yeah.
1?
This is for phase 1.
375,000 out of city money?
It would be city money.
But can you clarify why that's a thing?
Wait, that's the thing?
Yeah, why is there a requirement that there's 370,000? Is that because of the given scope?
Oh, that is just the scope of the work of what's in there. So we're going.
493?
So if we
So we're
reduce the
subtracting,
scope,
sure,
then
we're
you
good.
could reduce the amount.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Let me get there. So then our next step is to meet as a group and hammer out ideally what we can do in that first step. So that there's an actual presentation that can be brought that is a presentation that the library, the staff, and also the foundation feel comfortable with. And then would present an honest proposal on what we need to move forward with, what we can do, and then present the phases. And it'll also assist the Library Foundation in identifying what they're able to support as well.
And so I guess one of the questions that I had regarding that, and so if out of the 493, 73 is foundation, the city might not have 375, but we might have 200,000. Can the rest be fundraised through community efforts? That would be the other thing, right? To still complete everything in phase 1, if the scope remains the same, but that there is a community fundraising effort
Yes.
for the balance.
And with that, the foundation said they would assist, then support, but they would not take the lead. Right. So they were also willing to support fundraising. They would also like to look at the phase 1 to see if we're not able to cover what they can from their own funding, but we would identify.
Their non-living trust funding.
Exactly.
Right, their own foundation funding. So it's not all 375 city, right? Could be more foundation funding, could be some
We just need to come up
fundraising
with
in
the
the
370.
community. Okay.
Does the 73 that you mentioned, is that represented, because I know that they were going to receive this grant funding in tranches?
Yes.
Does the 73 represent what they've currently had, or does that represent what they will ultimately receive overall?
Based on the project, the 73 is what the grant will allow them to spend the funding on.
Oh,
It
even
is-
if it was all in?
Correct.
Got it.
They cannot pay for any painting, any structural repairs. It needs to be actual items the library can use or programmatic items.
Would that leave them with funding remaining then?
So they have received 2 out of 5 tranches already.
But it's 250 total, right?
Right. They have about
250 total,
180.
so 5 tranches of 50,000 each. The first is almost 0, and they have received the second tranche. You have to get to a certain level in order to get the next tranche, so.
So I mean, so after this is all said and done, if we do
It
this,
can't be
would
used
they,
No.
Any building maintenance.
no, I
Yeah,
get that,
she said that.
but does that mean that they will have funding available for eligible uses remaining?
In the future.
In the future.
yeah.
In the future, absolutely, they would still have the full amount. And they can even work on extending the amount of time they have to spend it, but it is very specific as to what they're able to purchase. So they identified from that full proposal, the 1.4, $73,000 of that is what they can honestly pay for.
Go out of the 1.4.
Out of the, yes, out of
not
the supervisor mid job,
493.
yes.
Okay. Thank
You're welcome. So we'll be working on meeting again with the full group to come up with a proposal, and then we'll come back to the full budget and audit committee before it goes to committee. or
So
to
the
council.
73 is based on the nearly 1.4 million estimate. Is the 375 based on that too, or just on the phase 1?
Only on phase one.
Only on phase 1.
Phase
Okay.
one was about 450,000, almost 495, I believe.
Okay,
So they
yeah,
were
like
looking
493 or something, yeah, okay. Any other questions, Councilmember Wong?
I mean, yeah, that's kind of odd. They're proposing a $1.4 million upgrade, and they're
The county is.
Yeah, the county is. So I'm curious what the foundation is actually proposing.
So we'll
So
go through with the
we'll
proposal.
go back, because the 73,000 represents just north of 5% of the total. It's a little lopsided, but we'll see.
Yes, so they actually weren't part of
Yeah,
that
they
discussion.
weren't part of that. Also. Okay.
And they
alright,
are
cool.
restricted, even the trust part, they are restricted. Okay. Any other questions? from
We're gonna
anyone?
talk about it tonight too.
They have a board meeting tonight, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, and I did mention, I forgot to mention that we are also removing the community room, because that was a separate, it's included in the architect plan, but the library wouldn't be able, foundation would not be able to support any upgrades to that room.
Well, are we removing the community room in the scope of the work or
For phase
just from
one.
their fund? Okay.
Just from phase one and their room.
All right. Well, I wait with bated breath.
I
Okay, that concludes item number 3. We'll go on to item number 4, apply for MPA Risk Safety Grant Program.
So MPA is our risk pool, our liability insurance, and they have sent out an email blast letting us know that there is a safety grant program in the amount of $14,500 to help us reduce our liability with electronic files and moving files from paper to electronic. And so we're hoping that the council will authorize us to apply for
Yes.
this grant,
You're good.
get the free money
Yes.
and move on with our electronic filing project.
Yes.
Okay.
So just a
Group
formality, but the MPA needs a resolution from city
Is
council.
that an annual opportunity? or
Looks to
just
me like a
one-time?
semi-annual.
Oh, okay.
All
So there
right.
might be an opportunity to get more. I guess.
Excellent.
Mhm.
That's a
Okay.
no-brainer. Go
That's
for
a
it.
yes. Okay, number 6.
The next one is
Five, right?
5,
Oh,
yes.
I'm sorry, I missed 5. Yeah. 5.
Purchase tough book MDAs for the police department,
What's an MDA?
mobile,
It's NBC.
MC.
Oh, so it's those big, thick brick
It's
machines.
the big tough books,
Stuff.
Panasonic tough books.
Do we have them already?
We do, we have an older version, so.
End of life?
What's that?
Oh, they just
End of
said end of
yes,
life?
that's correct. So, we contract, as you know, with the city of Concord for IT and for dispatch, services. Part of that includes all of the infrastructure,
How much are they?
What's that?
How much are they?
61.
61,
61, 110.
109.30 for 8 of them. That would replace them in all of our patrol cars. This is a negotiated contract price that Concord already has with the vendor, so we're basically just piggybacking on their contract. They do this about every 5 years. It was 2018 when the last ones were approved, so it's still over, probably closer to 6 years. There's not a whole lot of option here that we can do.
Yeah, I mean,
The
it's
alternatives.
kind of like one of the things, it's like buying tires.
Yes, that's a good analogy.
You don't like to do it,
Higher than.
You gotta do
but
it.
you gotta do it.
Yeah.
Alright, that's cool.
Oh, great.
We did discuss this during the budgeting process and agreed
Yeah.
that we would not budget it because we knew it was a one-time expense and
Right.
when we write the staff report, we'll be doing a budget amendment request for it as well.
Sure.
Budget
I
amendment.
do
Thank you.
think for these types of things that are just like we know. That, yeah, there's a way that we could set aside funds each year
Mhm.
to kind of build up. I think we should probably do that for some of these things.
Rather than not budget for it and then do a budget amendment later on.
Yeah,
Budget it for like in a capital project.
yeah, like this, like vehicles, all those things that we know essentially have an end of life.
That we have to,
Mhm.
I don't think vehicles end of life is 5 years.
No.
But it's something.
Mhm.
So,
And that's something we'll be working on in the sustainability committee.
okay,
Yes.
alright,
Terrific.
excellent.
okay, any other questions, comments? Item number 5, no,
Those things are thick.
that's a yes,
Drop them in there, it'll be fine.
what was
I've
that?
actually shot one with a
Drop
water
them in there.
hose.
Oh,
There's
good,
a reason I call it tough book.
tough look,
Pretty
they're
fun.
tough,
Mhm.
like our police department. Okay, item number 6, contract extension for MTC.
So MTC is much more than consulting. It is the,
Is that where you from?
yes, it is where I came from. I'm from here now, Jeff. Anyhow, it's a contract extension for Elsie, who is doing the HR consulting. And just recently, we brought in a management analyst for about 10 hours a week to help with the contract management here. And so it will be extending that contract out until the end of this fiscal year.
What's the,
$80,000 is the annual cost. Estimated.
80,000 annually,
Mhm.
so, I mean, what's the value of the extension?
That's it, the $80,000 is what the extension is for, I'm sorry. Well, because the last contract was for 30,000. And that, I believe, got you through July or August.
using your fingers
Okay.
or CPM.
Can I ask if that was approved by the council?
The first 30,000, that was within the city manager's authority.
So that's a little overvalid. You're asking for an extension?
That's why we're going for this contract.
So this is a 10-month,
Yes, about 10 months. Mhm.
10-month at 80,000? Alright,
Two people,
And the analyst
Yeah.
is about 10 hours a week.
10 hours a week, and LC's a little bit more than that, but HR.
I mean, it's basically, it's less than FTE, so I think
Mhm.
it's fine.
But that wasn't approved by the council.
The contract was within the city manager's authority, yes.
So not approved by the council.
That's why we're going,
It
getting
wasn't-
this one
But I
approved by
think
the.
Elsie, part of Elsie's, I think it was at some point. I have
Okay.
to go back and remember,
Yeah.
I think it was.
Well, we definitely discussed it in budget and audit, and
Yes.
we were all good with it, cause I
Right.
think we need the services. And so it was part of the staff stabilization.
Our policies were, HR policies were so dated, and I forget how many of them were, that had to be dozens.
Because the alternative is filling it with FTE,
Mhm.
and this is significantly cheaper than that,
It's just about half price.
so.
And some of it is one time, right,
Okay.
updated and,
Yeah.
but the analyst, and that, I also think, cause I know that's a position we talked about. Maybe eventually, it would be a good test
Mhm.
at 10 hours a week to see if
Mhm.
that, that was part of our
Yeah.
word chart, yeah. Okay,
Are there any specific deliverables associated with this contract, like a summary of all the contracts and what their term is and what they do, and
That's what we're working for, yes.
that's part of this.
Mhm. That's,
I think the question is it in the contract?
No, the answer is no, that we're just hiring these people for specific projects, and that is one of the specific projects.
To be determined,
Mhm.
okay.
Okay.
So you might use the analyst for different things, contract
Well,
analysis.
it's not just, yeah, it's the
Yeah.
analyst plus it's Elsie.
Right, yeah, so it's an
Analyst.
HR analyst and it's a management analyst.
So I mean, I think we definitely need the role. You either hire it or you contract it, and right
Mhm.
now contracting it is significantly cheaper,
Mhm.
Agreed.
so,
And LC's done a terrific job.
alright.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll
any
give it
other
that.
questions, comments? Okay, wonderful, that concludes item number 6. Item number 7, update on City Hall refresh project.
So we have had some contractors in here measuring and looking at things. We do not have any quotes back for our flooring yet, but for the repainting of the 3rd floor, we had 3 contractors in here. One contractor has not responded back with a quote. One contractor has called back and said he's too busy, he's not gonna quote it after all. And then the 3rd contractor has issued us a quote for $15,000. So we are reaching out to a 4th contractor and trying to get 3 full quotes in hand before we proceed.
Okay, so maybe the next meeting,
Mhm.
by the next meeting. Okay,
Is that like just for the walls?
I think it's just for the.
Yeah, that's just painting the interior of the 3rd floor.
How about the second floor?
We haven't been discussing that one yet.
Second floor was done not too long ago, so the second floor.
Or it was painted?
Yeah.
I think the chief, you did it yourself.
No, I.
So handy, you
I think
got
it's just around some spaces that were.
You know, you might wanna wait a month or two. Contractors really like to do interior jobs in the winter.
And we just might, so,
Yeah,
or maybe we can negotiate something that they don't start till winter and get a reduced rate or
Are
something.
you advertising that on somewhere? Cause I know several contractors in Clayton.
But we're not advertising it because we were trying to see what the dollar amount was to see where it fit in with our
Or you
purchasing
just getting
threshold. We're just getting estimates.
estimates,
Mhm.
yeah,
Cause then once we've advertised it, if we go out for an RFP, then we have to worry about
Right.
some other issues. So right now we're staying within our purchasing guidelines.
Gotcha.
okay. Alrighty, thank you, Regina. Any other comments, questions? Okay, and then future topics? Did we have anything other than what we're kind of doing
Alright.
for the next meeting?
I
Okay,
got one question.
yes,
You know, I was asking to have Larry come to the sustainability committee.
Larry Peace, our engineer.
Yes, the engineer. Does that have to be, that's something the
What's
city
the-
manager could, there's a cost associated.
Yeah, what's the
with that.
topic?
But
What is the topic?
oh, the topic is to gain an understanding the maintenance of capital assets and the replacement of capital assets going forward.
I think that's probably something that Regina or the city manager could do. I don't think you need Larry for that. Because our practice and policy is pretty basic.
Well, okay, we're talking about roads. What's it gonna cost over the next 5 to 10 years
But
to
he did
maintain the
that.
roads?
Yeah, so he has a
Larry Pease
presentation on that.
Presented that.
Then, oh,
Do you want
okay,
me to give you the date and I could,
absolutely.
and the link to the video?
Others,
He did a 10-year plan.
okay,
recently.
yeah,
Some people. were
May or
happy with-
June,
I
maybe?
need to
Chris
see
Street wasn't
that.
on it.
And
June, I think it was in June. It was when
It was.
the first meeting of June.
Was it that recent?
Mm-hmm.
This is.
Because
What's
it's
the
right
software
before
we
I-
use, Streetwise?
What's that?
Is the name of the software?
No, this was
It's
a
called
complete
Streetwise.
10-year capital improvement project, analysis.
I'm
Well,
pretty sure it was in June,
maybe,
yeah, because it
Yeah.
was right, yeah, I'll send it to you.
and then I'll
we've been
send
talking about
Regina
this a little bit.
the other one, and then she can forward that to you,
So whatever's covered in that is good, but if there's things that aren't covered in that, and I think having a little discussion about that with Larry would probably make sense, cause sometimes you get into discussions like that, and it leads into areas that you haven't addressed. I'm thinking in particular about stormwater drain systems.
storm water drain systems?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'll look that up, and Regina, I'll get you that information, get it to Howard. Okay,
And once we've had a chance, to review it, we might have some questions we want to direct there.
Yeah.
Question really is, we should have some budget to have him come in and talk with us and get us up to speed.
and also put him on like, almost like an additional retainer to do some of these projects, so it might even be covered under that. Was that 3,100 additional a month, or didn't we extend his contract?
Yeah.
To include
It was,
additional?
I think it was more for the supervisory stuff.
Oh,
But,
for public works.
yeah, but
Right,
One thing I'm thinking about in particular is this drain, this creek here behind the buffer. Yeah, Cardinal Creek or something back here, where they've got orange fence up because it's been scoured out. and
that's
they're
a
waiting.
FEMA pending.
It's a
Yeah.
FEMA pending, but there's more details to the FEMA pending than just FEMA, we're waiting for the FEMA check. There's,
Okay, he's
there are
talked about
other
that at
rules
several
that
meetings.
have to be,
Yeah, he has
He
talked
has.
about that probably at least half a dozen times this year at meetings. And we've authorized, was it an amount of money?
yeah, it's a small amount, so you
50,000,
can do the work necessary to update the plan for FEMA. to
because
seek
FEMA wanted a
reimbursement.
commitment from us, some kind of a commitment.
Yeah,
He's talked about it several times this year.
but yeah, what I would recommend is work with Regina to
Mhm.
arrange time with Larry. He could probably address any questions that you have.
okay, but if we can have authorization and funding for Larry for some consultation.
Yeah, I think it'd be helpful for him, rather than a free-for-all. It'd be helpful if you have
Specific.
discrete topics so that he can be prepared and that it doesn't go sideways. That's really what I would recommend.
And that he's prepared, yeah.
Well, yeah, and then some element of free fall, so that we can find out what we didn't think of questioning. I believe in dialogues.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
reviewing things.
I mean, you can't ask Larry to come and say, I wanna talk with you for 8 hours on whatever random topic. You'll usually get a block of time with a set of topics. There could be tangential topics related to those, and then he may have to come back.
Okay,
But I think that having some
Parameters.
parameters is
Topics.
helpful, and that otherwise it would feel open-ended.
okay, well, I think maybe we have them come, for 1 hour, we have an open discussion, we set a set of questions that come out of that discussion, then he can go and pull what he's got off the shelf, or prepare a little something that puts it together, and then we can have a follow-up from.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Okay, but we don't need any city council authorization to do that. You can probably authorize
We'll have
that.
that kind of authority.
Okay,
Okay.
we don't have to really wait for
Anything
the
else?
city manager to do.
Future
She's our,
topics?
I'm in.
she's our acting city manager.
Okay,
Any other ideas for future agenda items, future topics for budget and audit?
All right,
Okay,
meeting adjourned.
meeting adjourned,
Next meeting.
4:48.
This is a meeting, we are calling to order a meeting of city sponsored special events